Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rational Investors Daily Brief Recap. Woohoo! I want to make sure YouTube is recording, so I won't start in earnest until I hear my hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rational Investors Daily Brief Recap. We got YouTube rocking and rolling here this morning, so we'll try and do, good old Brian. I say every day, but I'm getting worse and worse at it, but 10 to 15 minute summary. Let's go. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today, and actually I was very impressed. I didn't know what kind of follower viewership we have here on the free YouTube videos, but I see there's a bunch of you who are interested in the raffle that we're going to do this weekend for this current school terms level 1 program, just to get you going and build a trading plan and understand what type of risk taker you are and what do setups look like, 3 unrelated reasons, and give you a couple setups just to get you guys going. It's a great sort of introduction to professional trading in the level 1 program. So very pleased to see that we have quite a bit of interest. Kevin, he just got promoted, which is kind of cool. He's now the Duke of Albuquerque. So Kavarkanator is taking names down for that list, and we plan to do the raffle on the this Sunday's broiler chicken show. The level 1 instructor, Grim the Wookiee, will be on the show with me. We'll do that together. So I'm going to I put out a tweet here this morning, basically letting the Twitter audience know that we've got this raffle going, because we really have only sort of mentioned it here for the YouTube audience. So I will dovetail this tweet with a mention of today's broadcast. But the long and short of it here, just quick summary, we are doing a raffle for our level 1 program, a seat in it for this upcoming fall term. If you're interested, you can either go through Twitter, reply, put your name down, but it would probably be best and make Kevin's life easiest is if you just can go on the YouTube page and watch the video. And as you can see, people that we really won't are commenting here down below. Jesus, 25 comments. Wow. We probably have quite a list of people to add to the list, but basically people have just been putting their name down on the comment section. Like I said, Kevin's been following that and tracking all those names. So if you are interested, get your name down on that YouTube page in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. We will do the raffle this weekend. So just an FYI on that. All right. Now, if you're going to start the stopwatch, Kevin, now's the time to start it, because I needed to get that admin sort of talk out of the way before I get into the sort of summary. So here we go on summary for today. As always, probably a good idea for us just to talk little U.S. dollar. Interesting. We talked yesterday about things seem to be calming down a little bit in Hong Kong. I was very touched by Miss Lam's very candid interview that she gave, saying, hey, I'm just another person too. I'm in a really, really tough situation right now, and I can't even go to the beauty parlor. And that really touched me. It just sort of put like a human spin on her, which I really liked. Also, we saw that she explicitly said that China is not planning on invading Hong Kong, and they got rid of the extradition bill outright for now. We also heard that China is playing a long game on this. They're not really in any big hurry. And then to sort of dovetail that, we heard today that the Chinese have been speaking to the Americans again. They're planning on renewing trade talks in October, and the long and short of it here is that sort of things are settling down a little bit after getting really hot there at the end of August. So it shouldn't really surprise us. We made the reference to this yesterday. Was there going to be a fractal that came in on the U.S. dollar index? Sure enough, that fractal signal did fire this morning. So Think of U.S. dollar as sort of the ultimate get me the hell out of risk proxy. So, maybe a little bit of anecdotal evidence that risk is coming back into the market a little bit. And I think, sort of the things settling down there in China is helping the situation. If we look at a bunch of the fear asset proxies, things like gold coming off a chunk here this morning, yes, yesterday I did talk about how some of these markets are looking extremely uppy, very, very strong. Is this the beginnings of the unwinding of the sort of risk off trade? I don't know. I think it's still a bit early. I think the gold market itself has had a huge run here. If we just did nothing more than just consolidate a little bit and do things like 38.2 retracements, fill in gaps, I think that's perfectly logical. What I'm kind of thinking, as you sort of see on this chart, is this top isn't going to happen in one day, in my opinion. There's going to be a lot of back and forth and ebb and flow. And normally, seasonally, October, November, usually a tough time for gold. So if there's any sort of serious correction back to reload zones, back to value, clean up the profile, clean up these gaps, my hunch is that happens sort of October, November-ish, which is, seasonally that would be normal. We are starting to see the first chinks in the gold bull. And also, too, I don't know whether I can talk too much about it with the time constraints here, but I've also been talking to you guys about the gold and silver stocks. Who best to know the industry, the prospect for business going forward, the price of gold itself, than the companies that are involved in the space. And everybody should look at this. We talked a little bit about potential empires that didn't fire. We wanted to see the market, if we were a bull, we wanted to see the market rally up and break these highs. You can see they could not do that. They've come back down here today, and they've broken these recent lows. So, everybody in the public, you should all know the answer to this, but what are we supposed to thinking if we ever see the market starting to smile at us? So be careful, gold bulls. Even the gold stocks, the people that are involved in the business, they're flashing warning signs. And anybody who looks at this chart should go, I can be a gold bull, but, come on, maybe things have gotten a little bit ahead of themselves. So I'm not necessarily saying short, but I am saying just be careful here and don't be shocked if gold prices do have to spend some time cleaning up. I think for the time being it's probably a bit of this, but who knows? That's just Brian's opinion. The market will do any old damn thing it wants, and just be cognizant of the fact that the market is starting to smile at us, people. No smiles yet on the gold price itself. This was a new high. So, like I said, I'm still thinking we're in the process of topping out, and I think this takes like the next month or so to develop. But, that's just my 2 cents. Moving on, we can actually start to see fails in other risk-off proxies, things like the Japanese yen. I'm a big fan of watching yen gold, and you can make the argument that now yen does actually have a very big smile working. Be careful here. Again, the writing's on the walls. Yen gold often move in conjunction. You can see last time when markets start smiling at you, things can start getting a bit tough. So I do admit, it's nothing's ever absolutely guaranteed in the market. We did have a smile here, but the market quickly W'd and ratcheted higher. I would also say, too, that, we are now back into sort of professional trading mode. All the pros are back from the Hamptons. This was a big event. And sort of on the other side of the Labor Day weekend, now we're actually starting to see some serious participation from institutions. And I'd also reiterate, Julian made a really good comment about this. You really saw over the past 2 or 3 days in the options markets the very noticeable fingerprint of the institutions coming back. Huge movement in options over the past couple days. So if anything, what I'm thinking is you kind of got to give the market a couple weeks to sort of settle down and tell us where it wants to go. But I'm getting the message that risk on is back on. If we start looking at things like stocks, we can see stocks are ratcheting higher here. I talked recently in these videos about how I actually thought this was supposed to be a bottoming window for stocks. So it's actually encouraging to see we now rallied back up into reload zones. We're in the process of trying to fill in gaps, trying to, eat candle wicks, all that kind of stuff. So ironically now, if I get sort of signs of failures, M's, fractals, empires, all that kind of talk, I can seriously now start to do some shopping on the put side. But our cycle guys on the site, they're actually thinking that the stock market doesn't top until we get to sort of the third or fourth week of September. And with that sort of in mind, AB equals CDs, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually, especially if things sort of calm down in China and we start, talking a little bit more civilly with each other and get trade deals working and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually have to come up and kiss this trend line from the underside and complete that AB equals CD. And the irony of it all is that I suppose if you did take this bot setup, you'd have your move stop to scratch level hit here, and you're just basically, if we do crap out and lose the entry level there, then you just walk away at scratch, kind of like what I did on that Bitcoin trade recently. So I actually think about half of this move is done now. And the question ultimately is, do we stall out against these highs, or can we press up into a trend line tag here into that end of September event? If we look at some of the other risk on proxies, and of course this is an ongoing debate, and I sort of jokingly made reference that people will be on the YouTube page telling me what they think. Is Bitcoin part of the risk on equation? I don't know, but it is interesting to see. I think crude oil definitely is part of that risk on conversation. You can see the W's coming in. We had another big drawdown in crude supplies, gasoline, distillates. Is this a function of the hurricane? I don't know. Mr. Trump was actually embarrassed a little bit today with his sort of embellishing of the potential damage hurricanes could do, but I'll leave you to hunt for that on your own. What I would just simply say is, if crude is Wing out here, if we are in rally mode, well, that doesn't help the gold market, and it doesn't help this sort of risk on, risk off. If you are a risk off fan, then seeing things like W's come in on crude and stocks, it's counter. And I've made the argument all along. It's been my history, my career, that very rarely do we see gold and oil move in the same direction, so it shouldn't surprise us. Oil's having a nice day, gold's having a bad day here. Moving on, actually I think I want to, just a really good example. I'm going to talk about this guy first. Really good example. I'm hunting setups across the board, every kind of asset. I'm asset agnostic. All I want to see is setups. I'll trade anything. And we'll talk a little bit about sort of my thinking in crypto right now and why I really haven't been buying a lot of altcoins and that kind of stuff recently. But, here's just yet another example of a setup that seems to be coming in here. This is a pharma name. They have a half decent product, FDA approvals, all that kind of stuff in the works. We bought, and a bunch of us on the site did, we bought this weekly W. I really like the price action through here. You could argue little bullish bots here to validate that bigger weekly W. Full disclosure, I'm long from down here. But I did notice on the big pop-up, and I've got actually a sell half on a double order sitting up top here. But actually Kevin, my co-host, mentioned this in the lounge this morning, which I thought was really cool. But a really good example of bot continuation trade that's actually painting a target of $14 on this thing. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got lots of kilos to work with to work our stops against. You can see how the market is set up, W's against this 25 level. We're getting nice rally here today. I don't know whether you want to go and chase and pay that price. Again, I'm not giving you financial advice, just telling you what I'm doing with my money. I am long off the bottom, but I'm actually seriously considering adding to this trade. It's a good looking stock. And I'm getting all the bullish bot sort of criteria coming in here to add to the trade. So, just yet another sort of example of what I do at TRI. Now, moving on, The Bitcoin chart itself, we spent a lot of time through Thursday as the baby powder report. Julian gave us an awesome summary of what he's sort of seeing in the market, and I think we've basically come to the same conclusion. Bitcoin is still consolidating here. I still think that we get one more dump here, but as RSI studies are starting to firm up, we might just W out here and continue higher. Still far too early for me to call that kind of action. And off of the lower time frames, it's interesting we've come up against key trend line resistance. I think it's a really good idea to wait for the break of these trend lines and then hunt W's on the other side of this trend line for that trend continuation trade. So I'm still on the fence right now. And when I look at the lower time frames, what I see is a diamond that's forming up top here. If we lose these lows here, then I think we probably have to work our way back down. And that would just simply mean that we failed to break out at the trend line resistance, which really shouldn't shock anybody. If, however, we can hold this diamond and we start breaking out through the top, then I think all the crypto going to the moon kind of talk starts again, and we should be looking for another leg higher. The conversation that we really had today in the baby powder report was more along the lines of, what is sort of the current state of crypto. And, interesting, we've been talking with you guys on the free shows about the dominator, Bitcoin dominance, and we sort of said that, maybe we're going to M out here and lose these lows, but you can clearly see we did not do that. We were flirting with losing this trend line, but you can see actually this trend line now, where it's probably going to act as resistance on the way up here. If, with dominance, we jump back above that trend line, then believe it or not, the next stop on this is probably a tag of this trend line way up here. Just knee-jerk reaction because we had a trading range consolidation and then a breakout. I would just by default be looking for my parking garage extension levels for next resistance levels. And in essence, that's suggesting domination 75 up to 78% now. So this trend continues working. Show me a new high and I'll show you a buy. We did have a range where potentially we could have M'd out. That didn't happen. So you just got to go with whatever the market's giving you. And right now, Bitcoin continues to dominate. If we put it into context of what's going on in the broader crypto market, I think it makes sense. I just got another list from Trex yesterday of more coins that they're delisting. As long as Trex is on this delisting path, and of course Trex itself has its own issues, you might not even be interested in Trex anymore. But as long as that theme continues, I can't see how the broader altcoin market can rally. It's just not their time. And then, as I had said just a moment ago, if you're a fan of things like Binance, they've got a big sort of deadline coming up here, middle of September. They're encouraging people to buy their BNB, but I did hear that it was making new lows over this morning. So I'm not going to really go into that in per se. But I would just say that, the tone of the altcoin market is very poor right now. And the data just simply supports that there just isn't a bottom in that market yet. I would love for there to be one, but there just isn't. We'll finish off today's conversation with a couple crypto blockchain related stocks. Been talking to you guys recently, of course, about this Riot blockchain. I have no idea what's going to happen here. Frankly speaking, anybody who tells you that they know exactly what's going to happen, I think they're full of horse hockey. But I trade setups. We were in reload zones. We had signs of divergence. W came in, and I'm a man of my word. I said I'd buy this on this W breakout, and I bought it. I would like to see 2-bar confirmation of this breakout here today. So fingers crossed we hold this breakout level, but you never know. We might just crap right out. Remember yesterday too, I had said that this could potentially be an example of a doji gap setup, Joby gap we call it on the site. And notice we could not break through that high first thing this morning. We might just inside bar here and fail and crap right out, totally possible. But as it stands right now, like I said, I bought the double bottom, I bought the W, I'll risk against the W. And I think there's lots of upside room if this thing does get going. Big gaps to the upside, 50% levels up here. So, just an update. We don't really need to talk too much about that. Another crypto name I've been watching really closely. I would like to be a shareholder of this company. This Hut 8 trades on the Venture Exchange. I think they have an OTC bulletin board stock. For Americans, do your own due diligence on that. Not telling you financial advice. This is just what I'm doing with my money. Did get a nice little trend line breakout here. Nice consolidation. As we sort of said, the rule is we want to see a W on the other side of the trend line breakout. And notice how this bigger W is setting up right off that bought entry level. So I'm watching this one really closely here. Just a couple ideas for you to chew on here. Do your own due diligence. If you are interested in the blockchain space from a stock perspective, here's a couple ideas that I'm working right now in the market. Okay, I think I'll leave the presentation at that for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are interested in participating in the raffle, be sure to comment, put your name down, and we'll have that raffle this Sunday. All right, all the best, everybody. Thank you very much for your attention. Have yourselves a great day, and bye for now.